Hey everyone, and welcome to this deep dive.
Where we're taking a closer look at two of Kendrick Lamar's most talked about diss tracks.
Meet the Grams and Not Like Us.
Yeah, and we've got the full lyrics right here in front of us.
Plus, we'll be pulling from the Wikipedia entries for both songs to really get into the nitty-gritty.
The goal is to really understand what these tracks tell us about the ongoing feud between Kendrick and Drake.
A feud, I should say, that's been going on for a while now.
Over a decade, actually, yeah.
So let's go back to the beginning for anyone who might not be totally up to speed.
Right, so it all kind of kicked off back in 2013, but things really escalated in 2024.
Yeah, it was like a powder keg just waiting to explode.
Exactly. And the fuse was lit, at least in this chapter of the feud, when Lamar dropped his verse on Like That.
Which, let's be honest, had a lot of people reading between the lines and seeing disses aimed at Drake.
Oh, absolutely. And some even thought J. Cole was in the crosshairs there.
And of course, Drake being Drake, he wasn't about to let that slide.
Not a chance. He fired back with some pretty pointed tracks of his own push-ups, tailor-made freestyle.
So it's like a back and forth, each one trying to one-up the other.
Totally, a classic rap battle taking shape.
But Lamar didn't back down, right? He kept the pressure on.
Oh, yeah, he dropped Euphoria and then 6.16 in L.A.
Which I think really got under Drake's skin, judging by his next move.
And that was Family Matters, where things took a much darker turn.
It went from jabs about careers and skills to something way more personal.
Because on Family Matters, Drake actually accused Lamar of domestic violence.
Whoa. Yeah, that was heavy stuff.
And it's like that accusation flipped a switch for Lamar.
Because his response was swift and it was brutal.
Within 24 hours, he dropped 2 bombshells, Meet the Grams, and Not Like Us.
Back to back, no hesitation.
It was a power move for sure.
And what's so fascinating is that he chose to go 2 totally different directions with those traps.
Right, one was this dark, brooding, psychological attack.
And the other was like a straight-up West Coast banger.
Showing off his versatility, his range as an artist.
It was like a 1-2 punch, each hit landing in a completely different way.
Let's unpack Meet the Grams first, because that track was like nothing we'd heard before in this feud.
It had this eerie, unsettling vibe right from the jump.
Yeah, and that's partly due to how it's structured, almost like a series of letters.
Each one addressed to a different member of Drake's family.
His son Adonis, his parents Sandra and Dennis, even a rumored daughter.
Which is already kind of a bold move, right? To bring family into it like that.
Oh, absolutely. It took things to a whole other level of personal.
And then there's the music itself, that piano sample looping in the background.
It's from a song called I Want to Make It, but in this context, it sounds almost sinister.
Totally. It creates this creepy atmosphere like something out of a horror movie.
Yeah, it sets the stage for some pretty heavy accusations that Lamar throws at Drake.
And these aren't your typical diss track boasts or insults.
Not even close.
He's accusing Drake of some serious stuff. Neglecting his son, profiting off sex offenders, even running a sex trafficking ring.
Stuff that goes way beyond just trying to score points in a rap battle.
It felt like Lamar was trying to dismantle Drake's entire life, not just his career.
Right, to expose him, to show the world who he really is beneath the fame and fortune.
And even the original cover art, before it got taken down, was super provocative.
Yeah, it showed pill bottles labeled with the names of Drake's family members.
Which some people saw as a violation of privacy, but also it just added to the overall unsettling vibe of the whole thing.
It felt like Lamar was deliberately trying to get under Drake's skin to provoke a reaction.
Maybe even push him to do something that would damage his reputation further.
Yeah, it was a mind game as much as a diss track.
And then you have Not Like Us, which is a completely different beast altogether.
A total 180 in terms of style and energy.
Production-wise, it's classic mustard. Hard-hitting, infectious, impossible not to move to.
Yeah, that West Coast sound cranked up to 11.
Heavy bass, finger snaps, those lively string samples.
Pure energy, perfect for a diss track.
And Lamar's delivery matches that energy. He's spitting fire with every line.
No holding back on this one.
He doubles down on some of the accusations from Meet the Grams, like the pedophilia stuff.
Even drops the line, certified lover boy, certified pedophile, which is just brutal.
No mincing words there.
But he also goes beyond the personal attacks and takes aim at Drake's cultural identity.
Accusing him of exploiting black artists from Atlanta for street cred.
Calling out those collaborations with Future, Lil Baby, 21 Savage, Young Thug.
Saying that Drake is basically using them to boost his own image.
Like he's a cultural tourist, dipping his toes in without truly understanding or respecting the culture.
And that accusation really resonated with a lot of people, sparked a lot of conversation.
especially on the West Coast where Not Like Us became an anthem.
It was seen as Lamar standing up for his city, his culture, against someone who was perceived as exploiting it.
And it's amazing how Lamar managed to craft two such distinct tracks, both aimed at Drake, but from totally different angles.
Meet the Grahams was like a psychological thriller, while Not Like Us was a sonic assault.
Two sides of the same coin, both showcasing Lamar's skill as a lyricist and a strategist.
Now, before we dive deeper into the lyrics and unpack each track in more detail, I want to hear from you. What struck you most from these initial listens?
Was it the audacity of the accusations? The musical contrast? Or something else entirely? It's really amazing how Lamar weaves this idea of authenticity through both tracks, even though they sound so different.
Yeah, it's like with Meet the Grahams. He's trying to tear down the facade to expose the real Drake behind the persona.
Exactly, and one of the ways he does that is by targeting Drake's family, which is a bold move.
Because it immediately makes it personal, right? It's not just about music anymore.
Not at all. It's about character, values, being a good father, a good son. It's almost Shakespearean.
Like in that letter to Adonis, Drake's son Lamar starts by saying, "I'm sorry that man is your father, let me be honest."
It's so clever, right? He positions himself as this concerned observer, this mentor figure almost.
Slipping into the family dynamic and highlighting Drake's absence in the process.
Yeah, and then he goes on to accuse Drake of being an absent father, rapping, "It takes a man to be a man. Your dad is not responsive."
And that plays into those stereotypes about successful rappers, the ones who get caught up in the fame and fortune.
Exactly. It's like he's questioning Drake's priorities, his commitment to fatherhood.
And it gets even more personal in the letter to Drake's mother, Sandra.
Oh, man, when he says, "Your son got some habits, I hope you don't undermine them."
It's like he's suggesting that Drake's hiding something, that his mother's enabling his bad behavior.
And then he goes even further, blaming Sandra for Drake's gambling addictions.
And straight up calls Drake a horrible, sick person to his mother's face.
That level of disrespect is almost unheard of in diss tracks. It shows you how deep Lamar's anger runs.
But it's not just about personal attacks, right? Lamar also uses these letters to address bigger issues.
Like when he accuses Drake of hating black women, of hypersexualizing them.
Even claims that Drake has sex offenders on his OBO sound label's payroll.
Those are serious allegations. They go way beyond just trying to win a rap battle.
It's like Lamar's using this platform to call out what he sees as hypocrisy and corruption in the industry.
And he doesn't shy away from the dark side of fame and fortune either.
Talking about Drake's mansion, the embassy, like it's some kind of den of iniquity.
Saying it's going to get raided by law enforcement.
It's a pretty chilling image.
It adds to this feeling of impending doom that hangs over the whole track.
It's like Lamar's not just dissing Drake, he's trying to expose him, to bring him down.
Now, Not Like Us, it's a completely different vibe.
It's pure energy, pure aggression.
Mustard's production is just infectious, gives it that raw, urgent feel.
Those heavy bass lines, the finger snaps, the string samples.
It's that classic West Coast sound, but cranked up to 11.
And Lamar's delivery is just as aggressive. He's not letting up for a second.
He comes out swinging with that line about Drake and his crew being certified pedophiles.
Yeah, that was a shocking line. Definitely got people talking.
It's risky for sure, but it adds to the rawness of the track.
And then he goes after Drake's cultural identity, saying he's exploiting black artists from Atlanta.
Calling out those collaborations with Future, Lil Baby, 21 Savage, Young Thug, all of them.
Saying that Drake is using them to gain street cred, to tap into a culture he doesn't really belong to.
He even compares Drake to B-Rad from Malibu's Most Wanted, that wannabe gangster.
It's a clever comparison because it makes Drake's attempts to embrace black culture seem inauthentic, almost comical.
And it taps into this bigger conversation about cultural appropriation in hip-hop.
Who has the right to profit from certain cultural expressions? What's genuine respect versus exploitation?
It's a complex issue, and Lamar's bringing it to the forefront.
And then you have the chorus, "They not like us," which is so simple but effective.
It reinforces that idea of Drake being an outsider, someone who doesn't truly belong.
Lamar's drawing a line in the sand, saying Drake's not part of their community, their culture.
It's a powerful declaration of identity and solidarity.
But Lamar doesn't stop there. He also brings up his history with J. Cole.
Says Drake is trying to pretend they had a real rivalry to stir up drama.
Even mentions Lil Wayne. Accuses Drake of sleeping with Wayne's girlfriend while he was in prison.
It's like Lamar's done his homework, and he's not holding anything back.
He's meticulous, strategic, and relentless.
But for all its aggression, Not Like Us is still catchy as hell.
Mustard's production is just infectious. You can't help but move to it.
And that sample of I Believe to My Soul adds this soulful undercurrent that contrasts with the harsh lyrics.
That contrast is what makes the track so compelling. It's a banger, but it's also a scathing indictment.
It shows Lamar's ability to make music that's both entertaining and thought-provoking.
And that's what led to its massive success, debuting at #1 on the Billboard Hot 100.
Breaking streaming records on Spotify too, millions of plays within days of its release.
It clearly struck a nerve with listeners, tapped into this cultural moment where authenticity and appropriation were being debated.
And it became an anthem for the West Coast, a rallying cry against those who exploit Black culture.
But it also resonated beyond the West Coast, sparked conversations about race, identity, the commodification of Black culture.
Now, speaking of cultural impact, we can't forget about the Not Like Us music video,
which dropped on July 4th, Independence Day, no less.
The timing was definitely intentional, framing it as a declaration of independence from cultural exploitation.
It's like Lamar's reclaiming his own narrative, his own story.
And the video itself is full of symbolism, further emphasizing Lamar's connection to his community.
And his disdain for Drake's perceived inauthenticity.
It opens with Lamar walking through Compton, interacting with people, showcasing the city's vibrant culture.
You see him dancing with Tommy the Clown and the hip-hop clowns, a nod to South Central's cultural traditions.
It's a direct contrast to the image of Drake as this cultural tourist.
And the video's packed with cameos from other West Coast hip-hop figures.
J-Rock, Schoolboy Q, Ab-Soul, Top Dog Entertainment execs like Anthony Top Dog Tiffith.
It's a visual representation of Lamar's support system, his crew, his community.
It's about solidarity, unity, something that's missing from Drake's world, at least according to Lamar.
One of the most striking images is Lamar doing push-ups on cinder blocks in this room that looks like a prison cell.
A direct response to Drake's line in Push-Ups where he tells Lamar to drop and give me 50.
It's Lamar turning the table, showing he's not intimidated.
And then there's that shot of him hitting an owl-shaped piñata, a clear reference to Drake's OVO owl logo.
With that disclaimer flashing on the screen, no OVOs were harmed during the making of this video.
Classic Lamar, poking fun at Drake's reputation while also reinforcing those accusations from Not Like Us.
Later on, you see Lamar driving through Compton in a black Ferrari with Mustard.
Stopping at Tam's Burgers, #21 to grab some food.
It's a subtle way of showing Lamar's success, but also staying grounded in his roots.
He's come a long way, but he hasn't forgotten where he came from.
And then there's that really powerful moment where Lamar's dancing with his partner, Whitney Alford, and their children.
It's a direct response to Drake's accusation in Family Matters about Lamar being abusive towards Alford.
By showing his happy family life, Lamar is proving Drake wrong.
It's a powerful statement, underscores the personal nature of this feud.
Lamar's not just defending his music, he's defending his family, his character.
The video ends with Lamar back in the classroom with Tommy the Clown and the hip-hop clowns, dancing and celebrating.
It's a joyous scene that brings the video full circle, reinforces those themes of community and authenticity.
Lamar's weathered the storm and he's come out stronger.
It's a fitting end to a video that's both a celebration of Lamar's roots and a defiant response to those who question him.
Not Like Us is more than just a music video, it's a statement.
It's about Lamar's values, his commitment to his community, his refusal to be defined by others.
Yeah, before we move on to discuss the wider impact of Not Like Us, I'm curious to hear your take on the video.
What struck you most? The symbolism, the cameos, the fact that Lamar's family was featured.
Yeah, it's like Lamar's using the video to directly refute those accusations, right? You see him celebrating his hometown, those deep ties to Compton, and then there he is, the family man, the father.
It's like he's saying, this is me, the real me.
Yeah.
This is where I come from. This is who I am.
And it's such a powerful rebuttal, especially given how personal those attacks from Drake were.
And it really gets at this bigger theme that runs through both of these tracks, this tension between authenticity and commercial success.
Something that a lot of artists struggle with, especially in hip-hop.
How do you stay true to your roots, to your message, while also navigating the music industry, wanting that wider recognition, the bigger platform, the financial rewards?
It's a tough balance to strike.
And Lamar seems to be saying that Drake's lost that balance, that he's chosen commercial success over artistic integrity.
That he's become more of a brand than an artist, maybe.
But is it really that simple? Can you really say an artist has sold out if their music still connects with millions of people?
Even if critics question how pure it is.
What about the influence of other cultures? Hip-hop's always been about sampling, remixing, building on what came before.
It's a genre built on collaboration, on drawing from different sources.
So where do you draw the line between homage and appropriation? Is it even possible to define authenticity in a genre that's constantly evolving?
These are questions that have been debated for decades, and there are no easy answers.
But the important thing is that we're having these conversations, that we're thinking critically about the music we listen to, the artists we support.
And these diss tracks, as entertaining as they are, they remind us that there's always more to the story.
There's historical context, cultural tensions, layers of meaning that shape the music we hear.
And with Kendrick Lamar and Drake, those tensions are really pronounced.
They represent two different paths in hip-hop, two different ways of approaching fame and success.
And two different ideas about what it means to be real.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with this. Those diss tracks might be over, but the conversation they started is still going on.
What do you think about this tension between authenticity and commercial success in hip-hop? Where do you draw the line? How do you define authenticity in a genre that's always changing?
Keep thinking about those questions as you listen to music, to hip-hop, to any art form that speaks to you.
Don't just listen to the beats and the rhymes. Listen to the messages, the stories, the conversations.
Because that's what makes music so powerful. It's a reflection of who we are, where we come from, what we believe in.
Thanks for joining us for this